Now, the reason I'm doing this particular video, this is an earlier presentation that I made in relation to the light emitting diodes, right? 5G. So the 5G attached to street light. And the reason for that is this was well before we're seeing all the monopoles that we're seeing now, during the lockdown. This was early on before the lockdown. And the reason I wanted to do this, I need people to understand the science, the actual science, not the academic bullshit. I'm talking about the physical, actual science behind optical radiation, because for some inexplicable reason, there are people who haven't got, they think it's a light. They have to understand all artificial light, man-made artificial light, poses a risk. Natural light poses a risk. I can tie you out on a sunny beach on a nice day in Spain, and believe us, you'll not last a day. So you've got to remember, it's an awful powerful piece of the part of the spectrum, operates in the terahertz range, the visible optical radiation range. However, natural occurring and man-made are two completely different things. Light emitting diodes basically transmitters, completely different type of technology to fluorescence, to incandescence, totally different, completely different, all right? And that's how I knew the illegal fitment due to the fact that it didn't have diffusers. And obviously I took this up with the court, apart from the fact that the 5G illegal urban radar was attached to them, which I come in for lots and lots of he doesn't know what he's, all that shill nonsense, garbage, which came and was generated by actors, state actors, government actors, very distasteful type characters. So I'm just trying to put this into perspective, you see, because they come up with all sorts of nonsense, right? And what happens, work season campaigners, but new people, as this war becomes more aggressive, as it is going to do in 2024, we need as many people on side, and we need to get rid of, as we've seen recently, attacks on people. Anybody speaking out and anybody sharing any of my content are being attacked by Brigade 77 operatives. Simple, okay? The reason for that is because they know I'm over the target. We've got a number of legal cases that they're trying to stop getting into courts. They are absolutely shitting themselves as this whole shit show falls to pieces on the back of what I stated early on in early court cases. They won't be able to cover up the body count. They're attempting to cover up the body count by saying that people aren't getting treatment in hospitals. That's why they're all dying suddenly in their homes from heart attacks. So they're getting heart attacks, cardiovascular, strokes, struck them down dead in their homes, but that's because they didn't get to hospital on time. Absolute horseshit. So let's just go through a few things. So I'm just going to stick to some and keep it nice and short. So obviously it's an indictable crime, fitting equipment that's untested, unregulated, and illegal fitment to cause bodily harm. All weapons, any weapons deployment, if something's been designed to cause bodily harm, then by definition, it's a weapon, right? They're totally ignoring the science. These academics are totally ignoring the science. They're science deniers. So when somebody says, I'm an academic, academics are science deniers. If they're in an academic institution and they speak the truth, they get the sack. They get the door. They move them out. So the only ones that you can rely on, academics, are the ones that are either retired, right, or getting to retirement age where they really just don't give a rat's ass. Because if you're in tenure, you're out on your ear. If you dare to say some of the things that I'm going to say here, actually, the actual science and what the whole purpose of science is, a method of how you evaluate certain phenomena in the natural environment. So they're breaking the standards and laws. A lot of standards, a lot of law wrapped around optical radiation emissions and 5G. There's no safety or risk assessment. And this is an extinction level event, okay? Battlefield technologies into civvy street technology, they're uninsured for harm, they're uninsured for a reason. The insurance companies see them as so dangerous, they're uninsurable. Now, what actually happened, my expertise, I invented the world's first binocular optical waveguide. All right. And that's the waveguide there in the orange. It's quite a clever little invention. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to see at the near eye area a lot of different information that can be projected to the wearer of any particular piece of headgear, which would be extremely helpful on a battlefield, because I know of the directional weapon systems that have been installed. So consequently, we installed this into a fully production certified motorsports helmet. Now, you have to remember, look at that picture. Everything in that picture, from the leathers to the screen on the front of that bike, to the tires, to the petrol in the tank, all fit to standards. There's a standard for everything, the cup, your spoon, everything, okay? What we've found is, with a number of these new products coming to market, there wasn't any, and the reason why they call them killer tech. Now, I was responsible, right, with a number of others, but I was mainly responsible for driving this whole project to bring this product to market with all of the relevant regulatory international standards, etc. So not only did this invention, one of several inventions I have, several, not just this one, I've got several inventions, all addressing optical radiation and optical radiation emissions, where it could be safe to show imagery to the near eye area, optical radiation, because like I said, optical radiation is a hazard. And head-up display systems pose significant problems like this one on the left. Now, this is a weapon sight system for a pilot helmet. We built an extremely interesting piece of kit using the optical waveguide, the binocular optical waveguide that I'd already designed, developed, and manufactured. So we developed this particular waveguide to mitigate. Obviously, there's obvious issues with this thing on the left-hand side. Possibly, if he had an impact with our helmet on, those lenses are basically going to poke his eye out. Okay, that has a number of different issues, but shows the absolute necessity for being able to have weapon sight systems in pilot helmets due to advanced radiation technologies on the battle space that need to be taken out using armed anti-radiation missiles. Okay. The 560 nanometers is the green part of the spectrum, and it's used in this particular military piece of hardware on the left, whereas the waveguide that I invented allowed for full spectrum optical radiation, which is an RGB screen type emission, which is far less dangerous than having a monochromic. So you've got a monochromic 560 nanometers here, which is totally unnatural and would pose some psychological problems. However, the actual biological damage, as was shown here, is not as pronounced. So you see where you've got these green emissions, you see the right-hand bottom box here, you see less cellular damage, whereas the blue is pretty lethal, full spectrum, yeah, which is basically the phosphor-coated LEDs. So what they do is they give an interpretation of light, white light. It's basically an illusion, but they're still very toxic. You can see the cell death. So you've got massive cell death in the blue. It's a little bit less in the full spectrum. Well, the illusion of full spectrum. And then we'll have the green, which shows very little cellular death and damage. And the reason for those head-up displays to be green. Obviously, let's come on to some killer tech. Now, I came across this technology. There was a scientist in America, Professor Blank, who did a document showing that the antenna that's in this stem would breach the FCC standards. So I contacted Professor Blank, and I basically explained about how much more dangerous optical radiation is, and especially if it's projected onto the fovea, which is this part of the the back of the eye, which transmits a chemical process down the optic nerve to create an image in the brain. Yeah. Now, when I first saw this piece of crap, I thought, these are best in class. Now, these are the type academics, the academics that everybody talks about. So you've got quite a few academics come with all the accolades, and they build something like this. I mean, like this to stick on somebody's head. Don't take into consideration the antenna in the stem that's attached to the head, which would breach the FCC standards, by the way, of radiation in the brain from the microwaves from the antenna. But the more dangerous, because you see, you've got to remember, in the terahertz range, you've got significantly higher values, like 3.2 electron volts, where in the microwave radiation range, 1.2, you see, electron volts. 400 terahertz, 1.7, but 770 terahertz, 3.2 electron volts in the photon value. So you're getting to the stage where you're getting close to some very, very powerful optical radiation photon values. And if you look at this, now this is the beam splitter. This is basically just a projector, projects on here. There's a mirror-coated beam splitter here, and then it puts the image onto the back of the retina. Okay, sounds no problem at all. If you look at the metal coating here, and we started seeing this, we see a degradation in a metal coated beam splitter. Now, what could be causing that? You can see it's not ingress. You can see it's actually in the metal coating itself. But I can tell you what, this optical radiation, it's pulse modulated, you see, it causes dissociation of molecular bonds. That's lethal. That tells me all I need to know, all right, from a material sciences perspective, and something that I have a background in. Quite interesting, yeah? So I've got a background in material sciences, and I now know, because obviously the patents and the work that I've done developing optical radiation waveguide emitters and head-up display systems, and I've got quite a history, like years and years and years of experience in this particular state-of-the-art development. I knew how dangerous this particular piece of kit was and said it wouldn't last 5 minutes. Now, obviously, they're still trying to push this Facebook virtual reality bullshit. This is lethal, by the way. These are basically a couple of magnifying glasses that project a focused image off the screen onto the retina from a pulse modulated, absolutely lethal. I mean lethal. How they're getting away with it, beyond my comprehension, and what I say, killer tech. Okay, so we've got the killer tech here. We also have the 5G switch on because obviously these are interconnected with 5G. Because I can tell you now, 5G will kill you because that's a weapons program. These absolutely will also kill you as well. So let's have a look at what actually happened to the streets and how I came across the fact that we're under attack in this early part of the last few years. So you've got you've got councils who are fitting these, being funded to fit them, using taxpayers' money to fit them. Birmingham City Council, 2.6 billion, they're bankrupt now, by the way, to put an LED set of streetlights with a 5G, what we now know to be a plate lens target acquisition weapon system to the top of the streetlight. This is another thing with people, you see, they don't know that 5G is going to be installed in your streetlights. And it is in your streetlights, apart from gated, that is, because I got it removed. So you've got these bare elements. So you've got a bare element. Most optical radiation emitters, the 2200 kelvins high pressure sodium type, would have a diffuser because they're dangerous. However, this is a risk group 2. AMA, ANSI, SHIA, Public Health England, HSE have all classified risk group 2 LEDs as a significant risk. They're not insurable for harm. Okay. They're bare elements. It's cranked up at an angle to cause point light source and glare, which I can tell you in the optical radiation standards shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen, but it's happening with this. You've got to ask yourself the question, why? Well, I'll show you why. So here we'll have the standard for risk group 2 and the maximum exposure to, there, look, 0.25 of a second. Wow. So you've got an exposure limit of 0.25 a second. The reason I'm doing this is because most people think optical radiation's just it's just a street light. The amount of people I've had go, oh, don't worry, it's just a street light. No, that is a technology. It's a part of a weapons program so they can attach a 5G mast to it, masquerading as a control management system. So they can modulate the light frequency at you and weaponize it at you. We've got these cars driving in front, coming towards you. This halogen lamp, you see these lights? These are bright enough, right? These are lethal. Sea light LED effect. Oh yeah, LED effect. All right. So we're into 5,000 and 7,000 Kelvin when the whole point of your high pressure sodium orange lights was to protect people from glare, from hazard, from optical radiation emissions, which cause cancer, ill health, stroke, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and death. You get it? It's all in the science. You follow the science, not the academics. I'm going to say it again, because academics, if they speak out about anything like this, they'll get the sack. You've also got the fact that Public Health England had already warned all councils. This is a document that goes out to councils, highways, so they'd already warned them about the health issues. The street light, they went ahead. That tells me it's a conspiracy to harm you in breach of Social Care Act 2012 because you're protected from ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. And they've just breached it. We've got it in the Guardian that these LEDs are increasing risks harming human and animal health, but they still just install them. And we know that LEDs are used as weapon systems as incapacitors. Well, can cause a pressure on this brain by pulse modulating this type of light at a certain frequency. I can get your brain to swell, all right, and make you have a fit. Okay, and cause a pressure on the brain by traveling down the optic nerve right into the brain. Still sounds safe. Your LEDs still sounding safe. You can send this to all your friends who think those street lights are really good, or your local council that think they've just installed them on top of you to save energy, but to give you cancer, make you sick, so you can't go to work. Now here we have, so they've already been warned. Now the fact of being warned, this means it's a malicious administration of a poison or noxious substance, because optical radiation is a noxious substance, and that's why it's covered under a number of standards to limit the risk to humans. This is a willful and a malicious administration of a high power optical radiation emission to cause you harm. Kills birds, fish, pollinators. That's why I don't see any insects. Kills agribusiness. Is that the plan? So yeah, we'll have a scientific report, and there's lots of them. You've also got the fact that they're telling you in the media that they're decimating moth numbers in England, which are bat feed, which that means it's a criminal offence. It's ecocide. No wonder all the birds are dying because they're starving to death, as well as the technology killing them. And this is Offence Against a Person Act 1861. It's willful. I mean, this study that was done in Barcelona, Exeter University published it. People are getting cancer and prostate cancers and breast cancers from this type of optical radiation because it is that dangerous. And obviously the reason why your LED, your insurance companies won't indemnify. Now here we go, because obviously I get a lot of kickback, normally Brigade 77, but you can I'll do this in a video. I'll leave the link to it. You can post it, or you can send it to any of these characters, right? These scumbags, right, who keep coming on the internet, lying as best they can, but obviously failing miserably. Yeah, failing miserably. Like Gated Council. Gated Council is not carrying out secret government trials in 5G technology via our streetlights. Liars. We don't know how conspiracy stories stuff to do, because I knew it was me, because they tried to arrest us, they kicked me door in, they went me door all the time with the police sending that enforcement, that policy enforcement officers, serving us with papers and taking us to court to try and gag me. So they knew exactly who it was. They're just liars, and lied again. There's no scientific or credible evidence that anything scarce to streetlights cause cancer unless. I mean, can you make this shit up? Is there an offence for public servants to lie to the general public? They actually said that Public Health England, who've already told them that are risky, by the way. They've already been to the World Health Organization, who say there's no risk. Well, the World Health Organization, electromagnetic radiation, I can tell you now, is a category 1 cancer-causing radiation. Fact. That's why you're protected from it. That's why when sick building syndrome was actually at the rage, they found out it was fluorescent lamps that were modulating at certain frequencies, and people got very, very ill, couldn't go to work. But guess what? Gateshead Council, and obviously the chief executive, she sanctioned this. She said she sanctioned this in this court case. So it's handy to know that she was responsible for this criminal public act of lie, fabricating to cover up what I know to be a genocidal agenda to depopulate, to harm, to attack the general population. Now, they conspired. Now, obviously, in that court case, which was quite interesting, where they basically lied as best they possibly could about the baby killing technology. Look, this was reported in the papers. Gateshead Council and Mark Steele's ongoing dispute over the baby killing technology takes another twist. Yeah, judge said the public have a right to know. When Mr. Steele has presented to this court a tremendous amount of research on the subject, in respect of which he is, what? Obviously very knowledgeable, because I had a couple of people there who, well, from a technical perspective, you know, like if you put me against some dummy academic, well, I'm going to smash them to bits on, because you see, they live in a fabricated world of nonsense, and the science usually proves the exact opposite of what they say. Bit like carbon dioxide, bit like safe and effective. You know, all academics are told you safe and effective. The academics who've actually taken it themselves, by the way. Your GPs who've actually went and injected themselves, by the way. I mean, I know they're not wanting to inject themselves now, but I mean, the cat is out of the bag. Yeah? Yeah, they're academics. No, they're academics. So I'm just getting the point. That's all I wanted to get to, because, like I said, there's a lot of people, right, who are pretty concerned about what the councils are currently up to. And what I'm going to say is, your councils are breaking the law. They've been weaponized against you. They've been weaponized against you. They're bringing in cameras. They're stopping you taking your cars. It's all part of a net zero international terrorist attack on the country, an agenda where Klaus Schwab has admitted he's already penetrated, literally penetrated, those in your cabinets, in your local parliaments, okay, across the world. He's penetrated them all. And I've got no doubt at all he has absolutely, at any of these carbon reduction type meetings, he absolutely has penetrated them. So, there you go, everybody. I hope that's sort of explained things a little bit better for people, so they realise that you're just being ghosted by, you know, Brigade 77. So you can always send them this for a bit of a, just to upset them a bit more. They just get themselves more and more upset. It's really quite interesting as it happens. I quite like upsetting them. And in 2024, I'm going to upset a lot of Satanists in 2024. I really am going to upset them quite a bit as evidence starts to pour out about their actions against the people.